In the last 24 hours, billions of dollars in weapons were pledged. A ceasefire was signed in Africa, and a space capsule with an Indian astronaut is about to splash down after 1.3 crore kilometers in orbit. This isn't just news, it's the world at a crossroads. Let's break down what's really going on. The Ukraine conflict has entered a dangerous new phase after Donald Trump, the former US president and likely Republican nominee, announced a massive weapons deal for Kiev. This package includes advanced Patriot missile systems, long-range artillery, and cutting-edge drones, giving Ukraine the ability to strike far deeper into Russian territory than ever before. Trump's ultimatum to Moscow is clear: agree to a ceasefire within 50 days or face 100% tariffs on Russian exports. Many believe this is a bold attempt to end the war on Ukraine's terms, but critics warn it could provoke an even bigger escalation. Behind closed doors, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is reportedly under intense pressure to launch more aggressive counterattacks, including potential strikes on Moscow itself. This is a major shift that could draw NATO even deeper into direct confrontation with Russia. European leaders are split. Some quietly support Trump's hard line, believing it might force Putin to the table. Others fear its reckless brinkmanship that risks widening the conflict across Eastern Europe. Meanwhile, ordinary Ukrainians remain caught in the middle, hoping new weapons bring peace, not more destruction. The stakes couldn't be higher. The next few weeks may decide if this war ends or explodes into something far worse. As the United States ramps up its military support for Ukraine, the Kremlin's response has been icy yet defiant. Russian officials quickly dismissed Donald Trump's ultimatum and the promise of Patriot missiles as nothing more than political theater. Publicly, they claim Russia is ready for a long conflict, framing the war as an existential struggle against Western interference. But behind the scenes, cracks are beginning to show. Inside Moscow's power circles, some insiders worry that Ukraine's new weapons could tip the balance, especially if strikes reach deep into Russian territory. Yet for now, President Putin's message is clear: Russia will not be intimidated by American threats or tariffs. Propaganda outlets are already spinning Trump's move as proof that the West wants to destroy Russia, trying to rally the public around the flag. At the same time, economic pressures are mounting. Sanctions have strangled key industries, oil profits are down, and ordinary Russians are feeling the pinch. But instead of backing down, the Kremlin seems ready to tighten its grip at home and expand its offensive abroad. Experts warn this stubborn resolve could make any diplomatic breakthrough nearly impossible and leave millions more trapped in a grinding war with no clear end in sight. In a landmark decision that highlights the complex ties between Europe and the United States, Germany's Supreme Court has rejected a legal challenge against US drone operations carried out through the Ramstein airbase. Human rights groups and anti-war activists had argued for years that these missions, which often involve targeted strikes in the Middle East and Africa, violate international law and Germany's constitution by making the country complicit in extrajudicial killings. However, the court ruled that Germany's government has sufficiently fulfilled its oversight obligations and that the US operations do not breach German sovereignty. For Washington, this decision is a huge relief. Ramstein remains a critical hub for US global military logistics, intelligence gathering, and drone coordination. Critics see this verdict as another sign that European nations, despite public opposition to certain US actions, remain deeply entangled in America's security agenda. Some worry this ruling sets a precedent that could weaken accountability for civilian casualties and covert warfare. Meanwhile, the case has reignited debate in Germany about how much control a sovereign nation truly has when hosting foreign military bases. For now, the message is clear: the transatlantic security partnership still holds strong, even when it clashes with local public sentiment. A quiet but dramatic shakeup is unfolding inside the US State Department, and it could have far-reaching consequences for America's standing in Asia. Secretary Rubio's controversial reorganization plan has now led to the layoffs of over 1,300 diplomats and policy staff, many of them experts on Asia-Pacific relations, China strategy, and emerging technologies. Supporters argue this streamlining will reduce bureaucracy and make American diplomacy more agile. But critics say it's a dangerous gamble that risks undermining US influence at a moment when Beijing is rapidly expanding its reach. Experts warn that fewer boots on the ground mean fewer trusted local contacts, less intelligence sharing, and a weakened ability to respond to crises in real time. Allies like Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines are already expressing concern that Washington's commitment to the Indo-Pacific might be shrinking just as China doubles down on its Belt and Road Initiative and military presence in the South China Sea. Inside the department, morale has plummeted. Veteran diplomats say decades of regional expertise are being discarded overnight. For China, this shakeup could open a door to deepen partnerships in Southeast Asia and beyond, shifting the balance of power at a critical crossroads for global politics. Trade tensions between the United States and Japan are flaring up once again, adding to the uncertainty in an already fragile global economy. With just days left before a critical August VARF deadline, U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent is preparing to meet Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba in a last-ditch effort to defuse a potential trade war. The Biden administration has threatened to impose 25% tariffs on Japanese automobiles and electronics if a new deal on market access and fair trade practices isn't reached soon. For Japan, this threat couldn't come at a worse time. Its export-driven economy is still recovering from recent supply chain disruptions and energy price spikes. At the same time, Tokyo is strengthening ties with the European Union, which recently announced a competitiveness alliance with Japan. The goal is to secure rare earth minerals, invest in green tech, and reduce dependence on China and the US alike. Some analysts see this as part of a broader realignment. Global trade blocs are forming faster than ever, and traditional partnerships are under stress. Whether Washington and Tokyo can find common ground this week will have huge implications, not just for two economies, but for the balance of power across the Pacific Rim. Amid the world's tense power struggles, Africa has offered a rare glimpse of hope. After years of brutal fighting and political mistrust, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo have signed a groundbreaking ceasefire agreement. Brokered in Washington and finalized in Kinshasa, the deal commits both sides to withdraw troops from eastern DRC within 90 days and to integrate local militias into the national army. This region has suffered decades of violence driven by ethnic tensions, rebel groups, and battles over mineral-rich land. Millions have been displaced, entire communities destroyed, and countless lives lost. For ordinary Congolese families, this ceasefire could mean a chance to rebuild, send children back to school, and reclaim their farms and villages. Observers caution that the path forward won't be easy. Past peace deals in this region have often collapsed under the weight of deep-rooted rivalries and outside meddling. But this time, there are signs of cautious optimism, stronger regional support, international monitoring teams, and a commitment to disarm militias that profit from chaos. If this agreement holds, it could stabilize one of Africa's most troubled regions, unlock huge economic potential, and remind the world that even in dark times, diplomacy can still deliver a fragile but precious hope for peace. So, as we've seen today, the world really is standing at a crossroads. From new wars to fragile peace deals, shifting alliances to ambitious space missions, the choices leaders make now will shape all our futures. But here's the truth. Staying informed is the first step to understanding what's coming next. If you found this breakdown useful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story that truly matters.